If you're in a slow season or a scaling season and you want to prioritize getting clients effectively and increasing cash flow in the bank, then this video is for you. In my journey of scaling, I've had many seasons. In one season, I went from 3 to 27 clients in 6 months. In another season, I went from 0 to 6 clients in 1 month as I restarted my services-based business. And over those different seasons, I've learned how to identify profit-generating tasks within the sales process so that I can get clients not only quickly but effectively and through a good use of my time. Because at the end of the day, if you have a great client experience but no clients, well, it's kind of redundant, right? Like you actually need clients in order for the systems and the processes and the team to actually work. Because yes, I'm all about doing things effectively in your business, saving time, creating a great schedule for yourself. But at the end of the day, our business needs to live. And in order for our business to survive, we need to prioritize money and clients and getting them in the door so that we can look after them most effectively. So in this video, I want to take you through the 3 steps to a client generating sales process. And as I'm going over these 3 steps, I would love for you to identify and think about what aspect in your business do you need to most improve on, and you can let me know in the comments below. But before we dive into this video, my name is Hannah. If we've never met, I am the founder of With Hannah & Co. And I help service providers like you sell, streamline, and scale their service-based business. So if that sounds like something that you are wanting, definitely hit that subscribe button. I send out new YouTube videos every single week, and I would love for you to be part of this community. Okay, so the 3 parts to the client sales process is step number 1, attracting the client, attracting the traffic. Step number 2 is turning that traffic into a lead. The 3rd step is turning that lead into a client. So those are kind of the 3 phases. And the reason we look at those 3 phases, which I'm going to dive deeper into in a moment, is so that you can actually know, okay, I'm not getting clients or I'm not scaling as quickly as I want to. What part of this sales process do I need to identify? Like, it's one thing to say you want more clients. It's another thing to actually know what actions to take in order to see more clients, right? And so each of those phases has data behind it and has actions you can take in order to improve that specific step of your sales process. So the first step is attracting the client. This is the part that you want to start with first, because there's no point worrying about converting a client if you're not even actually getting leads in the door, right? So the first thing is really attracting that client. Now, later this month, I'm going to do a deep dive video into all different kinds of actual methods and content and marketing ways that you can get more clients. But this step, essentially what you want to be thinking about is, how can I increase other people's awareness of my services? So what I've found personally in my business is direct cold pitching and referrals to be a great source of traffic. Because if you are just starting your business, I love one of my good friends, Ellen Yin. She says it's easier to borrow an audience than it is to create an audience from scratch. And I think the way she says that is so perfect, because it's so true. Like, if you are really starting from scratch and have no audience, you've got to think about, what am I going to most effectively be able to get clients in the door, get traffic in the door, because those things like Pinterest, Instagram, like all of those social media channels, they're great, but they're a longer term strategy if you don't have any audience there, because it's got to, you've got to nurture that audience and create content and be able to show up in the algorithm. And when I was first starting my business, when I was restarting my services and starting it from scratch in the very beginning days, a lot of my clients came from either direct pitch or referrals. So that was the first stage. The second stage, when I went from 0 to 6, I already had somewhat of an audience on Instagram. So I was able to put up a story, and 3 to 4 of those 6 clients came from a direct reply to that Instagram story. But if I was starting directly from scratch and had no audience, I would have gone straight to pitching and referrals once I had those few in the door, because people weren't aware of me. So when you think about attracting, if you aren't getting any inquiries, then this is what you've got to focus on. And you've got to think, okay, if I want, say, 10 new clients, well, I'm going to have to do pitching or referrals, like reach out to current clients or, reach out to my social channels. Like, have a think about where are your clients hanging out, which I know people say often, but it's true. Where are they right now? And how can you most effectively reach them in a shorter term strategy way that makes sense for you in this season that you're in, right? So that's the first thing. The next step of this sales process is then you've got to look at, okay, so you've got the traffic, right? So let's say you promoted your services on your Instagram stories and sent them to a services page, or you direct pitch someone and sent them to your services page. Like, essentially this is, once they know about your services, are they then looking at your services? So whether it's a services page or a DM that you've sent them with details, right? Like, are they then going, okay, yeah, this is something I'm interested in. I now want to take the next step and fill out the contact form, fill out the inquiry form, book a sales call, right? So you might be, let's say you're getting 300 visitors to your website each month, but you've only got one lead. Well, to me, that shows that this services page that you have right now is actually not most effective. So in this phase, and I'm going to go deeper later this month into an actual video that goes through how to nail your services page and what details to actually include. But this section, one of the biggest things for not converting into an inquiry is that your offer is not a no-brainer for someone. So maybe, let's say you don't have pricing on your website and it's not clear for them, so they haven't filled out the inquiry form. Or let's say it's actually sounds like a great offer, but it's not something they need right now. Like, you've got to have a look at what actually is going to make the person say yes to filling out an inquiry form. And part of that is, number one, that price point. Does it make sense? Is it there, right? Number two, is the offer inclusions actually what they're needing right now? And is that messaging around the offer, how it's going to help them, is that super, super clear and making you stand out from everyone else, right? And then the third part of that is the inquiry form really good? Like, if it's a super long essay inquiry form and it's going to take them too long, they're probably not going to fill it out. Or another way of knowing this is, having a think about what kind of questions do you want to ask them as the bare minimum details, but enough to be able to have a really good sales call conversation. So they're kind of the things to think about. A tool that I would recommend is Hotjar. I will put it below this video, but what that does is you can install it onto your website. So in this context, specifically your services page, and you can actually see what the behavior is on that page. So you can see where they're stopping, where they're pausing longer, where they're leaving the page, right? So that's really good data for you to know how can you improve your services page. Or taking a step back from that, how can you improve your actual offer and thinking about your pricing, your inclusions, your messaging around it. Because if it's not a no-brainer, like, your offer should almost sell itself. Like, for me, when I was growing my blog and Pinterest services, people needed it. They were literally begging to find someone who could cover that and give a great experience. So at the end of the day, a lot of my sales call was really just clarifying where a good fit, but they were already into it and ready because the pricing was right fit for the market and the inclusions were exactly what they needed. So have a think about, maybe your offer needs tweaking, or maybe the way it's messaged needs tweaking, or the pricing around it. So if you're getting traffic to your website or to, people like DMing you and saying, yes, I'm interested, I'd love to know more, but they're not actually getting on a sales call or having that proper sales conversation, then that's a red flag. So that's an area you'll want to improve. The last area is now converting that lead into a new client. Yay, right? And so what this looks like is most commonly a sales call. So I would say if you're a service provider, I do think sales calls are the most effective strategy. The reason for this is because then you've got them in real time on the call and you can have, like 15, 20 minutes, fully understand where they're at, build that rapport. I just find like, yes, I will sell through DM, and usually I'll sell if we have some form of connection already, But if they're brand new and I don't really know them that well, they don't know me very well, I just think it's easier to get on a sales call. Also, you're then not waiting back and forth for them to get back to you. It just takes a long time. So I do think sales calls are most effective. And later this month as well, I'm going to do a video all about sales calls and what my process is and how to improve that. But as a brief overview, if you're struggling, like if this area, if you're getting the leads, if you're getting the traffic, but you're not then converting them over to a client, there's a few reasons for that. The first will be the package. Again, like maybe it's not super clear, like they're kind of interested, but then when they get on the call, it's no longer appealing or an easy yes for them. So that's one big thing is the package. The next thing is how the sale call goes. Like if you're able to build rapport with them, then that's going to be a big winner, right? They're going to say yes. And the next is the actual follow-up after that sales conversation. So for example, you have a sales call and then you send their packages, like the invoice, the contract to sign with you. But let's say it's taking a day or two to actually get that to them. That's a red flag. You want to be able to send that proposal within, say, 10 minutes of that sales call. And I do have a recent video that goes over that, which I'll put in the comments below. But you want to have a real think about how you have a look at some recordings of sales calls, better understand why people aren't converting. And if it's like, let's say it's the competition within the market, well, maybe they're just, shopping around and seeing what makes most sense for them. So maybe it's having to think about, well, how can you stand out with like a no-brainer offer or a really good guarantee or, something like that to just give you that unique edge and selling point over the others in the market. So those are kind of those 3 steps. And if you're able to identify what makes the most sense for you right now and to improve that, you'll start to see an increase in sales. And as you go through those 3 steps, maybe in different seasons, it's going to depend on what needs your priority. I would say most of my time and improvement is always in that first part of attracting, right? Because initially the conversion and the lead and that took a bit of tweaking, but now that runs on the back end and I can consistently maintain conversion rates around that area of my business, a lot of my focus is then in that attracting and consistently getting those new leads as well. So I hope you found that helpful. And if you would like to know the exact experience, copy paste my client experience behind the scenes, then you can watch this video all about my exact process for client experience. But otherwise, I will see you in next week's video.